A regular meeting of the City Council held in Council Chamber on Thursday, June 24, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on June 22nd, 2021 at 11:38 a.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. Council is absent. Council President Medora, Council Sergeant will preside in her place. Council Flynn moved to dispense of the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. President Sergeant requested that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Presnewski.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Before I begin with public testimony, I just want to leave tradition, speak from the podium, and welcome everybody back to the council chambers. It's been a long year. I took this room for granted until I walked in here last night very early for the meeting and just looked around, and it was kind of emotional for me. It's like missing an old friend, having a family member come back after being gone for a year. They say you don't always know what you have till it's gone. Well, it was gone for a year, and I'm glad to see us back in this chamber. I also want to thank every city employee that got us through this past year. So much work was done, and nobody could ever get the real public credit they deserve. But everybody in this room and all city employees did a tremendous amount of work. From the mayor to our councilors, to the city clerks, Eileen Simons, Maureen Fisher, Assistant City Clerk Maureen Fisher, and Rochelle Sport, and especially the presidents during these two times, Council McCarthy and Council Medora. And really shout out to Council McCarthy. Not being a person who's in an office all day trying to run a construction business, having to do all those Zoom meetings when we first had the COVID coming in to do all those updates, and being the first one to really get through Zoom meetings. It was such an unknown, and he did it so well. I really appreciate that. Then there's the OLA committee. Again, Council McCarthy one year, and Council Masillo the next year. Those meetings aren't easy to run, trying to get all the public testimony in, trying to get the buttons just right. Sometimes it's hard enough for me just to push the button when I have to speak here. And everybody please remember to do that. But to do all that and coordinate it and make it look easy. And then our two finance chairs, Josh Turiel and Josh Turiel, who did it for 2 years. And again, the two most difficult committees to run. Thank you so much, everybody. Good job. As they say in the military, well done. Now I'll move to public testimony, not to exceed 15 minutes. Please silence cell phones, everybody, and please speak on something that's on the agenda. First being Alphonse Wright.
Good evening. I wanted to take a moment to make some comments on provisions to the OML. I know that there was a subcommittee meeting about this just before I got here, and I know there was considerations to be made, but I want to just go over this topically. By the provisions that we were afforded under the COVID Act to the OML, we have opened up access to government for people with disabilities, people that did not have the ability to make it here because they couldn't get someone to watch their kids, whatever the reason. We've made government more accessible to a larger amount of people. I know that there is a consideration on whether or not to go with a hybrid method for these meetings or stay all in person. I urge you not to take a step backwards in accessibility. If the option or if the availability to at least have public testimony remotely is removed, I don't think Salem can call itself progressive. It sends out a statement that we do not want people with disabilities or people that cannot afford childcare to participate in government, just on a public testimony level. I won't get into actually sitting on the body. That's a whole other thing that has to be tackled at the scale, and I understand that. But I just urge you if it is at all possible, to adopt a hybrid method for these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Again, please remember this is 15 minutes. We have a little bit of leeway, and we got 5 people to speak. Next being Jeff Cohen.
Jeff Cohen, 12 Hancock Street, Salem. Before I make my comment, I want to say how excited I am that these people are being reappointed. Carly McLean, who has joined Rosa Ordaz on the ZBA, bringing a brand new and terrific perspective. Kurt Rita, who brings the necessary assertiveness and forward thinking to the planning board, and Eileen Simons and her professional staff, who have done a lot of outreach in the community. I am speaking in support of the proposed Race Equity Commission. And, you know, this is June, Pride and Immigrant Heritage Month, and the Juneteenth holiday just signed into law. They should all be joyous celebrations, but they are also calls to action until all our residents can realize the same safety, justice, and dignity. Although I'm glad that some attended the flag raisings, those same people were opposed to the sanctuary, inclusionary zoning, never attended a No Place for Hate meeting, and those are all potential remedies for addressing the equity in our city. And it demonstrates how much we as a city have to do to have equity in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Next being Harrison Shell.
I don't really do this, so I'll try to make it flow so it sounds all cool and stuff. So I have a couple things just to mention. You know, my ears started perking up recently. You know, everyone's kind of locked in their houses with COVID and whatnot. Don't worry, I'm getting to my point. And so, you know, I'm poking around. I'm kind of taking an interest in, you know, politics a lot more. I'm a Democrat, but even still, a lot of things lately are like kind of a bridge too far for me. I am super fond of LGBTQ community. I love everybody. I have no qualms about skin color whatsoever. But, you know, I'm watching the news and some of this stuff seems to backfire lately. Like even so much recently, the term Latinx, they did a poll. I think it was a Gallup poll. It was a very widely known and respected polling company, and the Latin community completely rejected it. They hate it. They go, why are...
Mr. Shell, excuse me, please.
Oh, it was leading to...
Please keep it to something on the agenda.
Oh, it is, it
Realize
is.
you got 2 or 3
I swear it
minutes,
is. It's
okay?
not off agenda whatsoever, 100% on
Mention whatever else on the agenda you're talking about.
This is.
specifically.
Yeah, it's going to lead into, it's a lead in.
You got about 2 or 3 minutes, so
Okay,
please.
okay, sure. Okay, I'll make it quick. So anyway, I just don't know how these things are going to turn out in the long term. You know, craftsmen to craftspeople, I'm cool with. Manhole to maintenance hole cover, I've already read in the paper, you know, utility companies aren't going to know what the heck they're supposed to do. There's going to be like errors on the job site, things like that. There's a couple of them that I do just want to mention that are just kind of a little nutsy, in my personal opinion. Not to say that they're not well-intentioned whatsoever. Replace his successor to the petitioners. I don't even know what that means. It's a little out there for me. Replace he with be in all one sentence. I don't even know what that means. These are things that I'm curious are changing, so I'm reading the paper and this is literally what it says. Replace his, so I assume this is maybe on like realty paperwork. I'm a property manager. I assume that's what this is intended for, this line. Replace his with quote unquote the register's land surveyors, quote unquote, in all one sentence. You know, there are documents that have existed on mass land records for, I don't even know. They date back like 100 years. They've scanned everything if you ever go to that website. It's crazy. They've done a crazy good job. But anyway, what are you going to change everything on old deeds and master policies and insurance records that date back like a century ago? I don't know. it's just a little, I don't know. It's a bridge too far in my personal humble opinion. I know these are well-intentioned. Replace fraternal with social in all one sentence. A lot of people don't even know what fraternal means. They just think it's like a group of people. It's like a gathering. I don't know. Even, you know, I'm telling you, well-intentioned things backfire like this. I'd say like the biggest example, you know, like most black people I've ever met, they don't want me to call them an African American. That's kind of gone away from the mainstream now. It's like, you can't do that now. You have to keep a daily tab of what you should or shouldn't say. This is a list, 2 pages long, of new things, a lot of which are completely out of context. You don't know what they're intended to do, and other things that really make no sense to change and could cause crazy errors and backfire in the future. Those are just a few examples I had to mention for you. I know they're well-intentioned, again. I have some other things to say, but I'll save that for a later date. I've taken up too much time. I know there's other people that want to speak, so I thank you for hearing me, and I hope you have a lovely evening.
All right, thank you, Mr.
You're
Shell.
welcome.
Next being Steve Kapantis.
Good evening. Steve Kapantis, 23A Wisteria Street, Salem. And Fritz, I guess. Welcome back. Yeah, he'll let you know when he's here. I just want to talk briefly about the moratorium petition that's back on the agenda this evening. The first time I read the original moratorium, I looked at it and was probably in agreement with the majority of the people in this room. It was broad and it was overreaching. In fact, you could probably interpret it to say there would be no construction if passed. However, it was sent to committee, and I had hoped that it would be reviewed and maybe the things that were in there that are good. I'll give you an example, perhaps a moratorium on construction in our buffer zones of our wetlands. Those familiar with our wetland ordinance are familiar that it references maps from 1974 as what should be used. I've been to the city clerk's office and asked for the maps. They don't know where they are. Hopefully no developer finds those maps and then says, no, I can do it because this is what's referenced. Then 2 weeks ago, we were asked, once we found out that it was not going to come out of committee, that was the written intention, the moratorium would not come out of committee, this body had the opportunity to vote to move it to another committee with the intention of saying, send it to the planning. Let our local experts look at it, let them improve it, come back with its recommendations to this body. This body refused to give the due process to a large group of people. Isn't that what our government is about? Isn't that who you answer to? Tonight, it comes up again. Fortunately, I don't know why it's on the agenda as a vote, because you no longer have the ability to vote on it. We have the required signatures that under the law, it specifically says you shall send it to the planning board. So if you do vote on it tonight, I hope that you vote to send it there so we can hear from our local experts on a moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kapantis. Next being Fawaz Abu Shaka.
Good evening again. Fawaz Abu Shak, Fuzzy, 4 Harrison Road. First, before I even start anything, I want to send deep condolences and love to the Tucker and Carney family for the death in their family. We just came from the funeral, and may God bless them and give them the strength and the patience in the hardest time. Now the testimony. One, the moratorium that he was talking about. I heard a lot of complaints on Facebook. Some by the people who actually blocking it of making it to the city council. I think it should go to the planning board and to anybody who knows about this thing. It should start moving on. It's been over a year, and if it's not going to move for those people, please don't complain. That's number one. Number two is the Equity Commission. I am for Equity Commission. I support equity, and I support that the city does everything to do it. But I hope this is not the same thing like what I spoke about a year ago over Zoom when we were blocked by the mayor and by some others as Muslims from participating in that. And I'm here again to say, I am for equity, but we are part of the table. And I'm just speaking for the Muslims. I know there are other groups of people who are missed, including the Asians who you just guys passed something that we need to support them, but they were blocked of the commission as well a year ago. Anyways, please do it, and please include everybody, every minority. Let's not make it another commission like Salem is famous of, where we put the certain people we like so they can vote our way. Let's make it really about equity. The third part is about the Zoom, and this is going to be a repeat of what I said. I just remembered that this is different than in the committee. Well, I'm going to repeat myself. It is part of our democracy. We need to do everything possible to allow everybody to have a chance to see and to participate in those meetings. The best remedy is the hybrid. It's that accommodates everybody and helps everybody to give their opinion. It is the best for the disability and for, when people have disability, I don't want to use that word, when they have challenges. I'm sorry, just, the habits sometimes get the best out of you. People with challenges, people who for any reason, whether it's psychological or mental or whatever it is, they don't want to be in person, they can do the Zoom, they can do the call, they can do these things. But also for people who, some people cannot actually do it except in person. Let's improve our democracy, let's support our democracy, let's work the hybrid. We did hear from SATV that it's possible. I had conversations between the meetings with them where it's a matter of trying it. I know it stayed in the committee, but this is for the committee in case somebody is not able to do it. Please expand our democracy. Please keep it available for everybody, the disabled, the challenged, the normal, whatever your feeling is, please give everybody a way to participate. Thank you, and God bless everybody again.
Thank you, Mr. Aboushaka. That concludes public testimony. Hearings.
We have an order from Verizon Wireless to install telecommunications at 204 Lafayette Street.
Appearing in favor. Please state your name and home address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening, Council President, members of the City Council. My name is Daniel Klasnick. I reside at 16 Old Farms Road in Boxford, Massachusetts. I guess I just sort of want to start by echoing the Council President's sentiment. It's good to be able to come and appear before you in person. I've had the pleasure of meeting with you remotely, but it's good to be able to come in and see everyone in this hall. So, and I also want to thank the Council for the opportunity really to have this discussion to explain and expound upon Verizon Wireless's desire to improve wireless service here in the city of Salem. Currently, the proposed installation is necessary to address the volume of demand on Verizon Wireless's network, which currently is resulting in disruption to the service, particularly during times of peak usage. I think that Verizon Wireless, by locating its small cell equipment on existing utility infrastructure, is, I think, implementing a very creative approach to satisfying and addressing those network requirements. I want to emphasize that the installation will not cause any disruption to the existing use of the utility pole, public safety, or otherwise interfere with the use of the public way at Lafayette Street. For purposes of this petition this evening, we complied with the guidelines that were published with the routing slip. We also included a detailed set of drawings with our submission. We included an RF emissions certification, a butters list, letter of authorization, and of course the required fee. As depicted in the plans that we submitted, the install will consist of a single canister style antenna, very much similar to the installations that this council had approved previously. It's 14 inches in diameter, 35.4 inches high. It's going to be mounted on the top of that existing utility pole. In addition, there will be some remote radio heads that will be installed further down. This is necessary to transmit and receive these signals. There will be fiber, power, also some cabling that's installed, and as the lowest appurtenance is an electric meter, which is required by the servicing utility company. I think to emphasize once again the purpose of the facility, it really is an essential part of Verizon Wireless's network. It does improve wireless service, and it improves both voice and data reliability. And I think it's really an advantageous way to provide this targeted service in a way that really minimizes the visual impact or other impacts on the community. And just by way of a little more background for purposes of the installation, Verizon Wireless has entered into a license agreement with the pole owner. And although they're entitled to non-discriminatory access to any utility pole right-of-way, we do have to look and be compatible with the existing needs. So the actual pole owner will evaluate the installation, the structural capacity, whether or not there'd be any disruption with the existing services. So this is something where Verizon Wireless has undertaken quite a bit of due diligence and arrived at this particular location after several years. So we would respectfully request that this council act favorably upon the request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klosnik. Any questions of Mr. Klosnik? Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm the ward councilor involved there, and I think I spoke via email earlier. My only issue with this, I understand the need for service. I don't have any issue. I think the CAN approach seems to be pretty good visually. My only issue with this is that you've installed several of these in recent months, and they work well, and they're helping for service. But the assembly on the pole that handles the radio heads has been in their other installations is fairly low, and as a result is kind of unsightly and in the field of vision of people who are just walking down the street. So my only thing that I would say to this is that we need to find a way of making that somewhat more, a little bit, placing a little more discreetly on the pole, and or doing a better job of kind of covering it and making it look more appropriate. That's the only real issue that I have on this.
Thank you.
Mr. Klosnik.
Thank you, Councilor. Yes, and I do appreciate your email. I did review that with Verizon Wireless, and I'm sure, as you indicated and appreciate, the cabling is obviously an essential portion of it. The location of the equipment on the utility pole is dictated to a large extent by the pole owner. We have to make certain there's a level of separation from the primary, secondary power, and also to allow access to service it. So in regards to the cabling, as I said, it's an essential part of the facility itself, but Verizon Wireless is certainly prepared to look at options. I did have some discussions with the folks who actually install these, and it is difficult to specifically address because they need those numbers of cables to attach, but they're certainly open to looking at if there's a way to bundle them better or arrange them better in such a way.
That would be my only real issue, and what I'd want to see, if assuming that this body approves it, I'd want to see a condition that the final plan for that be reviewed by our engineering department before it's done, for how it will be placed on the pole and the height and all the rest that would be subject to review before the final placement. That'd be the only thing I would ask for it. Otherwise, I have no particular issues.
So
I
we
would
can make that in the form of a motion and make it
Yeah.
a condition.
Well, let's get through the rest of everything
Thank you.
first. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd have to agree with my friend, the Ward 5 City Councilor. A few that were just recently installed, and for the record, I've approved every single Verizon and other telecommunications updates and antennas when they're in open areas. And I've also voted against every single one, not just with Verizon, but every single one when they're up close to people's houses. I've been consistent for the last 6 years on this. So through our president, I'd like to ask Verizon if you can tell me how many feet away from this house the antenna is going to be placed, approximately.
Approximately 20 feet.
Approximately. So, Mr. President, I will not be voting in favor of this tonight, and I've asked Verizon repeatedly to, and other telecommunication, in fairness to Verizon, other telecommunications companies as well, to find alternate locations away from people's houses. The Ward 5 councilor talked about the look of some of these. Well, yes, it's pretty unsightly, some of the look. I'd encourage, when you make your motion through the president to the Ward 5 councilor, that the city electrician approve it as well. Because we have wires just hanging all over the place with boxes and boxes. It's just really unsightly, perhaps dangerous, I'm not sure, or perhaps, a taller teenager could go by and jump up and pull some of the wires that are hanging all over the place out. I don't want to see that happen to your company or to lose telecommunication services, but I think that the design of what's happening here is not a good one, and I think Verizon and other companies need to work on it to make it the look of it needs to look a lot better. But also, again, with regard to the closeness of this to the house, the last Verizon antenna that we approved, I mean, I voted against it, but the council chose to approve it, has caused that house on Loring Avenue to go up for sale, to be sold, and a different family moved out, and a different family is in there, not aware that 22 feet away is another one of these antennas near one of the children's bedrooms. So, Mr. President, I will be voting against this because it's simply too close to people's houses, and the design of it is simply unsightly as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Any further discussion? Any further comments from the city councilors? Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the public hearing be closed.
Councilor Torrio moves the public hearing be closed. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. And Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I also further move that this be granted with the provision that the Verizon will work with the engineering and/or electrical department of the city to try and minimize the appearance of the cabling structure on the pole.
Thank you. On Councilor Torrio's conditions, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Those conditions will be part of the record. Councilor Torrio.
Thank you. I said, Mr. President, I move this be granted with said conditions.
Okay, Councilor Torrio moves granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Two opposed. Let's see. Excuse me. We have 9 for, 2 opposed. I'm opposed also. So 9-2, the matter carries. Excuse me?
8-2.
Oh, 8-2, I'm sorry. I'm missing the council. 8-2, the matter carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, councilors.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointment of Carly McLean to the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term to expire June 10th, 2026.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
I just want to thank Ms. McLean for her willingness to serve. She's general counsel for the Lynn Housing Authority. She's a great member of the community.
Thank you, Councilor Hapworth. Any further discussion? Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also would like to thank Mrs. McLean for stepping up, Ward 4 resident. I really appreciate her doing that and her hard work. I've seen some of the zoning board meetings that she's been at, does an excellent job, and I just want to thank her.
Thank you, Councilor Flynn. Any further discussion? Being none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi? Yes. Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Marcillo? Yes. Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Okay. On the matter of the appointment of Carly McLean to the ZBA, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The matter carries. Ms. McLean is appointed. Would anybody like to suggest that Ms. McLean be able to approach the podium and speak? So motion. Ms. McLean, you may step up and say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you so much, City Council. I really appreciate this. This is such an honor for me. I've really enjoyed working with the ZBA as an alternate, and being made a full member, was really meaningful to me. And I wanted to also reiterate what Councilor Sargent said about how hard the staff has worked here in the city of Salem to make sure that the meetings were accessible. We didn't miss a beat at the ZBA, and that was challenging. Not all of us knew how to use Zoom, but, it kept the city moving. You guys worked so hard during the pandemic and kept the city moving. So I just wanted to express my thanks to the city council, express my thanks to Mayor Driscoll and all the staff people here, and, just say that it's an honor to continue to serve.
Thank you, Carl. Good job. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Kurt Ryder of 15 Warren Street to the planning board with a term to expire July 1st, 2026.
Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Council Hapworth moves confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
I just want to thank Mr. Reader for his continued service. He's a resource for many of us, and we're lucky to have him.
Thank you, Council Hapworth. Any further discussion? Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, want to rise and support Mr. Reeder's reappointment. I had the pleasure of being on a Zoom meeting with him this morning relative to one of the subcommittees I sit on. And he's just a wealth of knowledge, and I really think he brings a straightforward approach to a lot of issues, and I wholeheartedly support his reappointment.
Thank you, Council McCarthy. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support of Mr. Reeder. This is an easy one for us to reappoint. He brings a level of technical expertise when he reviews plans, whether it's landscaping of trees or on every single thing. He is quite technical, and I love when he gets up to speak and critique a plan. We need more people like him on all boards. He's an ambassador for the city. He does a great job on the board.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Any further discussion? Being none. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Marcillo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Thank you. On the reappointment of Kurt Ryder to the Planning Board, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The matter carries. Thank you, everybody. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Mark Patterson of 2 Beaver Street to the Historical Commission with a term to expire June 28th, 2024.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
I just want to thank Mr. Patterson for his continued service.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Being none. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Marcello?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Thank you. On the reappointment of Mark Patterson to the Historical Commission, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Ziggy Hartfelder and Melissa Stockbridge to the Cultural Council with terms to expire June 9th, 2024.
Thank you. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be received and filed.
Councilor Hapworth moves this be received and filed. All those in favor? All those opposed? Received and filed. Communications from the mayor.
We have the following 11 money matters. We have an order in the amount of $24,230.70 from retained or earnings water sewer fund to the DPS water contracted services account. We have an order in the amount of $21,992.10 within the retirement stabilization fund sick leave buyback account to be expended for the fiscal year 2021 contractual buybacks listed for Marsha Kirkpatrick, who retired from public property. We have an order of $18,447.20 from retained earnings water sewer fund to the DPS water contracted services account. We also have an order in the amount of $17,596.75, again from retained earnings water sewer account to the DPS water contracted services account. We have an order in the amount of $15,751.60 from retained earnings to the DPS water contracted services account. We have an order in the amount of $9,206.96 that is transferred from the purchasing department's part-time salaries to the purchasing department's telephone wireless account. We have an order in the amount of $8,182.45. I'm sorry. We have the sum of $9,050 are hereby appropriated in the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the negotiated 2-day sick leave buyback provision. We have an order in the amount of $8,182.45 to be approved within the Retirement Stabilization Fund account to be expended for Camilla Cote from the Salem Public Schools. We have an order in the amount of $6,000 to be transferred from the Assessing Department's full-time salaries account to the Assessing Department's contracted services account. And we also have an order in the amount of $3,824 transferred from the Building Department's full-time salaries account to the Building Department's contracted services account. And we have an order in the amount of $2,800 in the transferred from the Purchasing Department's office supplies account to the Purchasing Department's fixed cost copier and supplies account.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Torrio moves suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Councilor Torrio moves adoption for roll call vote. Under discussion.
It's not a roll call vote necessary, Mr. President, but
Discussion, sorry.
thank you, Mr. President. So this is a collection of end-of-the-year transfers, the majority of which are for retirements and for dealing with some of the water issues that we've had earlier in the spring, mostly smaller repairs that were done. And so there's a transfer required from their in the enterprise fund for those. And there's also a couple of our cell phones usage has gone way up because we're using a lot more of them, and that's been a pandemic side effect. And then we had a couple of retirements. So these are all fairly routine end of the year money matters.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Some of these are pretty big. We've got 4 water breaks on here that total $76,000. That's a significant amount of money for just 4 breaks. So I'll be voting in support of this because we don't really have a choice to this. We need to pay our old bills. The work has been done. But $76,000 for 4 breaks, and I think at the last meeting or fairly recently, we approved another single break for, I think it was $30,000. So I'm questioning whether we're putting too much pressure in our old pipes to service the development that's happening in Salem, and if that pressure just causing more bigger damage, or are we just spending too much money on these by hiring contractors rather than using our city crews, which historically repaired our water breaks? But this is a staggering amount of money, $106,000 in the last couple of this meeting and our recently another $30,000 appropriation. So $76,000 tonight, we're going to have to fund this bill because the work is done, like I just said. But I will be submitting an order to have the city council, one of the committees meet with their city engineer to see what the true costs of this are and find out a way to save money on these. This is just simply too much money. And to question our city engineer if we're just putting too much water in the pipe, too much pressure in the pipe, that's causing our older pipes to blow, or maybe they're just simply too old. But this is a lot of money, Mr. President. Unfortunately, I have to vote in favor of this tonight, but we need to reel the cost of this in. It's just too much money. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I'm not going to entertain any idea of bringing the DPS director in and have a second guess his ability to provide water service to the public of the city of Salem. If there's a water main break at 2 in the morning, then we're going to call a contractor and someone's going to go out and fix it. Period, end of sentence. And whatever they charge for an emergency call, that's just accepted practice. I mean, unfortunately, during the day, we may pool our crews together to do a water break. But if the water main break happens at 5 o'clock, we're going to call someone to come in because our crews have already worked an 8-hour day and have gone home. So unless you want to bring them back in at overtime, so if you want to do a cost analysis between overtime and bringing in a crew, an emergency crew that we have on call to do this type of work, it still comes down to the fact that the water break occurred. The citizens of the city of Salem are expecting their water to be on, and we have to fix it. So I'm not going to sit here and try to second guess the DPS director on his ability to make a phone call in order to maintain water service. That's my opinion, because I believe that the citizens expect water service, and I understand it comes at a cost, and some of these numbers do get big, but the ultimate responsibility is for us to provide water to them, however that happens. So I have no desire to bring the DPS director, and we just had him in during the budget meetings. We talked about this. Ultimately, if it's the Ward 7 Council's will to bring him in and have that conversation, that's fine, but the answer's still gonna be the same. If the main breaks, we have to fix it. It's not like we're gonna sit there and have a debate in the street saying, what crew's gonna come fix this?
Thank you, Council McCarthy. Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify this some for people who are listening and for any members of council. So we have our own crews do work on water breaks and water issues. They do that during the day and during their shift times. And then we also have coverage for big projects, large works, and after hours from Grenice here in Salem. They're our on-call contractor for it, and that's basically what they do for us and for other communities, and they got the job with us through a bidding process. So they work on a bid process. Their pricing is a set formula that, and they're the lowest bidder for it. But they handle certain things. We handle other things. A lot of routine work is done by our city crews. We do have some good people working at DPS handling this. But we also have times where we need bigger equipment, where we need more people, and where we need it in the middle of the night. And that's why we have a contractor that is available to us. It's not that we are looking for heavy equipment operators at the DPS now. We've been searching for that for some time and trying to keep an on-call list of them. We've been hiring people as quickly as we can get good qualified people to come work for us, but we still do need those supplemental services regardless. And for most of for quite a few years, Grenice has been our contractor of record. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio. Any further discussion? Being none. Just to double check, it's a money matter. I just want to make sure we don't need a roll call vote. We're okay with the hand vote? Thank you. On Councilor Torrio's motion for it?
We had to.
Yeah, just double checking. Thank you. On Councilor Torrio's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Thank you very much. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance established from the Race Equity Commission.
Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 2, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances is hereby amended by adding the following new division following Division 17. Division 18, Race Equity Commission. Section 2-1032, there is hereby established a Race Equity Commission for the purpose of A, implementing elements of the city's Race Equity Action Plan and updating said plan periodically as necessary. B, advising departments and city officials on strategies and approaches to ensure municipal programs, policies, budgets, and ordinances are developed in a manner that avoid and reduce systemic racism and bias. C, developing and recommending initiatives, programs, and policies intended to reduce systemic racism and bias in Salem. D, designing and conducting hiring and recruitment programs and advise on employee training and retention programs to increase diversity and cultural competency of city staff. E, supporting and guiding community organizations, employers, associations, nonprofits, agencies, businesses, and others in methods by which they can help reduce systemic racism and improve racial equity in Salem. And F, seeking grants and other sources of support and resources to carry out the Commission's work. Section 2-1033, the Commission shall consist of 7 members, the City's Human Resources Director or their designee, the City Solicitor or their designee, the School Superintendent or their designee, and 4 other members appointed by the Mayor and subject to City Council confirmation. The members shall each serve a term of 3 years. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter, and I move that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted.
Thank you, Councilor Masillo. Any further discussion? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you still got the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Masillo.
My goal in bringing this into the committee is to bring in also the Race Equity Task Force and get an update from them. I actually have an item in committee to get an update from the Race Equity Task Force. And so hear from them their ideas on how this will help to push forward their initiatives that they've taken over the past year plus, and to discuss any other details involved in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Masillo. Now, any further discussion? Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'm very happy, and I think this is well due that we have this type of action here in Salem. I'm happy to be part of the task force, and I think that so far I see great improvement. However, I think that we need to have more into representation of who we are here in Salem. We hear from the public that it was a group left behind. Happened that I proposed in that task force from day one that everybody was not in the table and I was ignored. I hope that by bringing this to OLA, we can actually adjust and bring the representation that we are. I see seven members that is recommended by the mayor in this action, or by the chairman of OLA, Councilor Masillo, and I don't see any name of the group that I proposed. It was left behind. A very important members of this community, the faith community, was not in the table, and I think that by having this done, we need to make sure that we include everybody. We want it to be inclusive. I'm going to be watching. I think this is perfect to be in committee, but I just wanted to make sure that the general public, everybody know that we need to include everybody if we want it to be really equitable in the city of Salem. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, I would like to echo the at-large councilor's comments. I think that I'm happy that we're bringing this in. I think that we do have to ask ourselves questions. I think those are fair questions to ask. I think that over this last year, I've asked myself a lot of questions as in my professional life, as an employer, as a neighbor, as a community member, as a family member. I've asked myself a lot of questions about myself, and they're questions I think as a city we need to continue to ask ourselves. So I appreciate those comments. I also just appreciate that we're moving in this direction, and that we're not just creating a race equity task force, taking a report, and then moving on. We're actually moving towards a sustained strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hapworth. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd have to agree with my fellow councilors who just spoke. I think that we need to see the report that this committee has worked on for the last year, and to receive and understand their recommendations that they've been studying, and then move forward with this good commission. We've heard testimony that some groups were omitted from here, whether it be Muslim, Jewish, or the faith community, Hispanics on the commission. I personally feel that we should have several different ethnicities on the commission represented by Salem residents, and perhaps a Salem resident appointed to the commission from Salem United, but needs to be a Salem resident, so that we have a true mix of representation of the city, and we can move forward in a positive and productive way. But I think it's important for us to get the report and see what's in the report with what specific recommendations that they've studied and come up with and are recommending to us before we create this commission. And I think we'll have the report very soon so we can take action on this immediately. Let's get this back out of committee this summer and act on it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Councilor Torriello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I look forward to seeing what the Equity Task Force has brought forward, and I look forward to the establishment of this commission. I think it's a necessary step. What I would kind of want to remind everybody paying attention to this, and all the members of the City Council, is that the objective of this task force and of this group is to deal in particular with racial equity issues. And yes, there are, so it's not a issue there of, this is not a religious equity issue. This is not intended, or this is not being designed to deal with religious issues. And so where particular religious groups or the faith community in general, maybe some of their members would have a place at that, but this is intended to deal with issues that people from different and from different minority racial groups are, regardless of their faith or regardless of any other affiliations they might have. So there are people who may feel that they have a place at the table of this, that are not really dealing with the same kind of issues that are happening at a racial level, and that's, I think, where the issues I think we've seen in society are the most stratified, so.
Thank you, Councilor Torriello. Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I had to hardly disagree with the good Councilor Ward 5. If you see the history of the United States, we see so many leaders. We can name Martin Luther King, Reverend Martin Luther King, coming from the faith community, dealing with this racial issue that we had in the United States. Now in the United States, we're facing a very high risk and a very turbulent everywhere we go. I think the perfect people to deal with this type of issue are us together, and the faith community is very important, and members of the community that need to be in the table. So by not having the faith community, meaning by the whole group that represent the faith community in Salem, I think that we're missing a big part of finding the solution of any racial and not equitable action that we have in Salem. I have to say also that based on what I see, the systematic place in a systematic race in Salem is still active by not having everybody in the table. So I yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Any further discussion? Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just also wanted to comment on the plan from the Race Equity Task Force. As having the honor of serving along with my fellow councilors on the task force for the past year, we have been working on the plan. One thing that I have learned, though, is that there's no one plan. This is an ongoing item. We're not going to be handed, a golden ticket with this plan that we can then form a perfect commission from, which is why I think that this commission is sorely needed and a good idea, and we should definitely get together and discuss and make sure that we all agree on the purpose and the reason for it, but I think we can't get too tied down with what is presented in the plan or how we're going to solve this, because as mentioned multiple times in the task force, that this is a systemic problem that has been built up over years, and it's going to take a long time to unravel that all. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to continuing that work. Thank you.
Well said, Councilor Riccardi. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not being a member of the OLA committee, my only suggestion to them would be that we also look to see how this commission is going to work with the new position that we voted on through the budget. The budget, I believe that the position is in the legal department right now, and there was a discussion but I think it's very important that, and we obviously haven't filled that position yet, but potentially in coming out of committee would be how the commission is going to work with the new hire, whoever he or she may be down the road. So if we could just make that as part of the focus as we look to establish this commission, how they're going to work in relationship with that new position that was created during the budget.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. No further discussion? On the motion by Councilor Masillo to move this to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance to replace gender-specific nouns and pronouns in the City of Salem zoning code of ordinance.
Thank you. Councilor Masillo, and I might add, if it's going to committee or planning board, may entertain a motion to waive the reading.
Thank you.
If possible.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. So I move that this be referred to the planning board to hold a joint public hearing.
Thank you, Councilor Masillo. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to go through a little bit of this. This is all specific to the zoning code. So, and the zoning code is found online. It also, this is what you commented on, that's why I'm trying to address it. Okay. And so it also mentions the exact reference in the zoning code. And so I do want to point out that this one, the third item, changing he to be, it's because it's a typo. So we might as well change that while we're in there. This was just a general, just like we did with the Code of Ordinances. We're just replacing gendered pronouns with more neutral, gender-neutral usages. That's pretty much it.
On the motion to correct the typo, all those in favor, all those opposed, the ayes have it. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Am I able to vote on this since there's several references to the fire department? Since it's non-monetary, it's all right? Thank you.
I would say yes.
Don't receive any financial
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Council Masillo to move this to the planning board to hold a joint public hearing, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Mayor's informational page.
We have a letter from Mayor Driscoll updating on the implementation of the American Rescue Plan Act in our community.
Thank you. Councilor Torriello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be received and filed.
Under discussion.
No discussion. I have a motion coming later on, an order coming later on to have a meeting on this as well.
Thank you. On Councilor Torriello's motion, this be received and placed on file. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Now we have motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Torriello standing in for Councilor Madore.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, City Council, June 24, 2021, ordered that the City Council determine how to conduct their City Council meetings and subcommittee meetings effective June 25th, 2021 until April 1st, 2022. And the action, the action is for us to move either that all meetings be held remotely or that all meetings be held in person. What I would prefer to offer here is that the motion be for all meetings to be held in person, if possible under current conditions, with the provision that we enable remote access for public testimony and public participation.
So the motion is that all meetings be held in person.
My motion would be that all meetings be held in person with access provided for public testimony and/or public participation by remote.
Okay, I just want to, so we're going to go with the first before we go to our, basically moving that all meetings be held
In person with provisions for public access by remote participation and remote testimony.
Just a little, Madam City Clerk, are we allowed to add to this motion? Okay, so in essence, all right, under discussion.
Councilor Hapworth had a meeting on this earlier tonight on the public participation aspect of it. I think, as wonderful as it is to finally be back in this room after almost 16 months, and I never thought I would miss this room until after the last 16 months or so, and then I realized I did miss coming to this room, and it's more fun, believe it or not, seeing all of you than it is having my cat jump on my lap all meeting. So I'm glad that we can be back here in person, but the one real bright spot of the last 16 months was that City Council was opened up to people who never before had had the time or the ability to come into City Hall and participate in a meeting. We never had the ability for people who didn't have Comcast TV to even see the meeting remotely. And we now have had all these things for the last nearly 16 months. People have been able to go log into the Zoom meeting and participate. People have been able to call in by phone. People have been able to watch the meeting streamed on Facebook instead of having to rely on SATV to have a Comcast TV connection in their house. I got rid of mine over a year ago. And if I was home, the only way I could watch these proceedings would be to come in or to go online. I couldn't do it through SATV, or I'd have to watch it after the fact in the replay. So, we've really opened up public participation in a way and gotten new people and new voices, not just the same people who come to every meeting and speak at every meeting. We're getting a lot of people who never really attended public meetings before, who never really spoke at public meetings before. It's opened up a ton, and I think the most important thing, regardless of whether we are meeting here or whether we're meeting remotely, and I think we should be meeting here, is we have to make it possible for people to participate in local democracy, and that's as basic as democracy gets, being able to participate locally. So I think that's a huge improvement that we've gotten inadvertently out of the 16 months of COVID. And I think in moving forward, we need to make that part of things. So I know from the previous discussion that IT and SATV and all the teams involved have just about worked it all out, and they have to test everything. But hopefully when we sit down for our July meeting, we can do it in here, and people can come in on Zoom like they've been doing it for the last 16 months. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Turiel. Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess just a point of clarification or point of or question. How are we determining if the remote access is possible? I think that we ended the government services meeting a little bit early, and I think there was sort of a general understanding that it would be September 15th potentially at its best, but then there's also some discussion with SATV that could happen in July. So I'd want to see in that if that's at the determination of the council president or how that would end up happening.
Thank you. Just a point, I believe Patrick Kennedy stated he could have done that tonight at the meeting. So he believes it's possible right now. So that's what makes this possible. Councilor Cardy next, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Another point of clarification. So Mr. Kennedy did say that tonight he would be able to do the council meeting in person, but with the Zoom aspect for remote participation. I'm curious though, I fully support that for city council meetings. For the subcommittee meetings, SATV does not generally here for those meetings, and I'm assuming he would need to have a person in a body here to do that, to assist with that. So I don't know if we could perhaps split this order or edit the order that city full council meetings do have that amendment by the Ward 5 councilor to have in person with the option or with the additional remote participation, but perhaps the subcommittee meetings or the joint public hearings happen remotely until we have that full solution that Mr. Killen and Mr. Kennedy were talking about earlier. I don't know if that would be an option.
Thank you. Just to clarify, Cable TV Access has done every committee meeting we've ever asked them to do. They just asked for a day or two notice. So I assume that'll be the same way. Councilor Carter.
Sure, thanks. Just to follow up to that, I agree, but as someone who also does not have SATV, I don't feel that that really covers the gambit that we have now allowed the public access to our meetings without having cable TV. So I don't feel that we should backtrack and go back to that.
No, just to clarify, I wasn't talking about cable TV. I was talking about them being able to do the Zoom meeting, the remote access at a committee meeting. They've done whatever they can do for the council meeting. They've always been able to do for a committee meeting. They just asked for a day's notice.
Gotcha.
So, Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, I think what he said, and people can correct me, was that in theory, this should work. It needs to be tested, and it has not been tested.
Right.
So I would like this to say we will meet in person when it's possible to do that with remote access, or only when. So that's my only clarification. It's not been tested.
No. Well, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. The other clarification that we need to address is, I was talking to the city clerk before the meeting, and right now we're trying to determine when we're going to have a joint public meeting with the planning board. The planning board has decided to meet remotely. So now we're having a difficulty scheduling a joint public meeting because this body does not have the right to force another body to come in and meet in person if they have chosen already to meet remotely. So we have to be able to have the option, if we want these public hearings joint public hearing with the planning board to happen, we either have to find a date that we can get all of them who have agreed to meet remotely for at least the foreseeable future to come into a date, and that's becoming problematic and difficult. So, as much as I enjoy being in this room, and Mr. President, you and I have spent more time in this room probably than 6 people combined if we take some of the newer councilors, because we've been here a while. And I too miss being in this room, and we were sitting here last night and I looked up and I said, did someone paint the ceiling? But
lights.
It's the lights, I've been told. But it looks great. But I do miss the room. But at the same time, I agree with what's been said. I mean, we have opened the door to remote participation. You used the analogy earlier today in the meeting of government services, that, you know, this is our home, this is like the Celtics, this is like the Red Sox playing at Fenway. I agree with that. But we also have to realize that people have the ability, they don't have to be at the game to watch the game. So in this case, they want to be, if they want to participate, but if they want to participate in the game, but they can't be here, then we have to give them an option. So I really think it's important that we make sure that all the options are available. But in the same sense as when we look at this order, we also have to respect the fact that the planning board has also made a decision that if we want these joint public meetings to go forward, then we have to leave ourselves enough provisions in whatever order we come up with in order to allow flexibility. And I think that comes through, when it comes through scheduling, I think that in that case it comes through the president. I mean, the president has the ability to, you know, schedule meetings, and if it comes to a point that we can't find an agreeable date for some very important public hearings, then with the planning board, then we have to have the flexibility to also realize that the governor's order specifically says it lapsed for a day or two, and then he brought it back and said, you still can meet remotely if you shall so choose. You know, obviously there's a big difference between shall and may, and I get that. But at the same time we also need that flexibility, and we have to designate someone to have that flexibility. Whether it would be the president or the chair of a committee. It's because some committee meetings, you know, it may be more advantageous for if the will of the committee is to meet remotely and it still falls under the open meeting law, which it does, then if it's advantageous for them to do that before all the kinks are worked out, or before, I mean, we all know SATV will come in if we give them notice, but that's assuming that they have someone who wants to come, who's available to staff it. So there's a lot of give and take here. It's still like everything with regards to COVID. It is very new. I mean, with the end of COVID and the relaxing of restrictions, things change daily, if not hourly. So we also have to realize that the solution may be technologically available tomorrow, but we're not aware of it. So we have to, if we're going to do any kind of order, it has to have a lot of flexibility in it, because there's going to be situations where we need that flexibility, and it can't be hard, set in stone, moving forward.
Thank you,
That's my
Councilman
opinion.
McCarthy.
Thank you.
Councilor Toriel.
Thank you, Mr. President. So hearing all this and thinking more about this, I think the proper way to phrase this, and I would amend my order here to say, and please, I would be open to amending it further if there, you know, to a friendly amendment if somebody notices something that I'm missing here. But my order would be that the City Council conduct regular meetings in person with remote participation possible, with remote participation enabled, provided that has been tested and we're certain it works on an ongoing basis, and that subcommittee meetings and or joint public hearings be conducted by whatever means is amenable to the committee as worked out by the committee chair or city council president working with the city clerk. So that way, for instance, the joint public hearings coming up with the planning board, they as a body are meeting remotely, and we're operating under a different rule set for those. We're not operating under council rules, we're operating under public hearing rules. For that, we could do that remotely, because that would be compatible with what that board chooses to do. When we have our regular meetings, we come in here and we do what we're doing now. When we have a subcommittee meeting, I presume the subcommittee meetings would primarily be in person still, but we would have the ability to run one of those if we felt it was necessary. If a subcommittee thinks that would be a better way to run a particular meeting, they'd have the ability to do so. So the main body, though, I think should be in here whenever and however is possible. I think that's the right place for us to be, but I think there should be some flexibility otherwise.
Councilor Toriel?
Yeah.
Would you please? Recognize council.
There. Recognize Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just looking at this, I mean, it's getting kind of complicated. We have an original order that gives the dates to have either number one is move meetings to be held remotely by roll call vote, all in person. Now, we're getting to a difficult vote because we don't know what's gonna happen. And we have one more live meeting, July 17th. I don't think there's any way that they won't be able to work that out. Now we're gonna have live meetings one way and committee meetings another way. I think they can work it out. But you can argue that we're the legislative body. We could, if we want to push aside all the boards. The government made it so it's possible to have multiple meetings. But the emergency vote, I don't think we have the vote to have live meetings. We're allowed to have live meetings. That's our rule. That's what we've been doing for 100 years. So I don't think we have the vote to do something that we're already empowered to do. The vote is to do something different. So our live meetings, yes, we want to work towards a hybrid. But I don't want the fact that a hybrid can't happen to go in a meeting. And there can be glitches either way. We could be here live and have the hybrid portion not work, just as we've had Zoom not work. We've had issues with Zoom where they couldn't have meetings to get Zoom there. So I think we're looking for a perfect situation. But I just like us to have live meetings with the hybrid possibility ASAP. And I feel confident based on what SATV said that they can do the hybrid. He said he probably could do it tonight. So you have to have a practice meeting. If you want to have a practice committee meeting, to have them try and have some we'll do that. But otherwise, we're going to have to cancel a meeting if we can't get something done. So, I just like to tighten up that motion that yes, we have live meetings, but and we have the hybrid possibility. As long as we can. But our meeting has to go on. That's what I feel. And I don't know what the exact wording is, but I would just like to tighten up that wording a little bit. So yeah, just basically we have a live meeting with some possibility, a hybrid possibility. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you. Oh, just one last thing is the planning board almost always meets here with us. They also have the ability to have a separate meeting. We do it as a matter of convenience. But by law, the planning board can have their own meeting on Zoom, and we can have ours. But I argue that the public wants to be able to attend planning board meetings also. I've got a lot of comments from people, the ZBA and planning board meetings, so they want to be able to participate and learn all about it here on Zoom. And these are neighbors that are affected by some of these projects. So we have to get back to live meetings and work at ASAP and getting the hybrid as soon as possible later on. Thank you.
Oh, Councilor Turiel, I don't know, Councilor Dominguez, think about language, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to agree with most of the comments on how we're going to go ahead and, accept the new normal that is not only for us, but I think the entire world has changed. That's an indication that technology is here to stay forever. However, I think by giving a little bit of thinking, I think we haven't heard from the city clerk who eventually is we call this maybe one of the important piece of the meetings that we have. We want to hear, that's my proposal, that we hear from the city clerk department to see how she's going to manage either way we decided here to go. What is the pro? What is the con on each one of the side, based on the time and effort that they put together in order for have us together here or remotely or whatever way we decided to go. So, if I may, I want to request that we allow city clerk to give her personal or department opinion on this important matter before we make any decision. Either way, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Madam City Clerk, if you have any input on you.
Yes. After listening to all of earlier in the Government Services meeting and tonight, I know there's a desire to meet back in person, and I know that SATV, I asked them to think about methods that could be done to possibly do a remote or hybrid meeting here, but I don't want to violate any open meeting laws. I don't feel as though we can meet in person and, think that SATV may be ready or any other thing that IT needs to have this done. I don't want to be set up for us to fail. I think it's too important to make sure between them and the city solicitor, as we have suggested in government services, to make sure this all works before we meet in July. July 15th isn't that far away. We're hoping for a joint public hearing prior to that, around the same date. And I won't be here. I will be away in a couple of weeks, and I won't be here to test that and feel comfortable with the situation, and to have subcommittees one way and regular meetings another way. That could be a nightmare for myself and my assistant. I feel overall, and again, much love being here in person in this chamber. I think until things are worked out and we can test them during the day and make sure things go smoothly, as we did when we were doing the new normal, going into COVID, where things are very fluid. I think going back, it's hard to just stop and go all the way back. I think it has to be that fluidity allowed us, again, as Councilor McCarthy alluded to. I would recommend all meetings until, it doesn't have to be what the governor said, April 1st of 2022. It can be September, it can be November, it can be December, whatever else is chosen until this is worked out. I would hate to see us meet here in person and then not being able to have remote participation from the public, if you so choose, and then violate the open meeting law. I prefer that it all be done remotely, if you ask me. And I'm telling you, it would be the best thing to keep it as is. It's been working, and until you give us time to work out all the details.
Councilor Toriel, would you take that one? I just want to. Right now, if cable TV doesn't work, are we in violation of the open meeting law? Cable TV were to shut down. I'm sorry, thank you. If cable TV were to be not working, would we be violating the open meeting law?
No, because we're all in person. The
Right,
public
exactly.
would have to come here in person.
Right,
But
I
if
just
you're
wanna-
looking to have public participation remotely,
Right.
and that didn't work, and we didn't have a phone, if people couldn't use Zoom as a video, we don't know the audio portion, we have to have an audio for people to clearly audibly hear us and to call in. We don't have that all working together. That would be in violation if we chose to go hybrid.
Right, thank you. That's what I'm getting at, is we don't have a council order or a council meeting that says we will do meetings live with SATV. When we went to SATV, we never made it a council order or part of the rules where we'd be violating the open meeting law. And what I'm getting at is, if we had live meetings and we're trying to go to hybrid, but it wasn't a council order, but in good faith, we know 100% we're going to be trying to do, we've asked SATV to do it, and there was a mistake and we just had the open meeting law, had the in-person meeting, we wouldn't be violating the open meeting law, because it's something we're doing above and beyond. Once we make it a council order, and something happens where we're not able to have the Zoom access, then it could be said that we're violating the open meeting law. And of course, we don't want to be doing that. And we do want to have the hybrid as soon as possible. I don't think there's anybody here or in the city that I know of that would disagree with that. It's just a new thing to do. So what I'm getting at is, if we can move to have live meetings, and then somebody go back to motions, orders, and resolutions, somebody bring in an order that we move towards hybrid, have a meeting on it, and we move towards hybrid ASAP. It's in committee, we can have a committee meeting on it. We could actually have that committee meeting and have Patrick Kennedy come in and test it out, having the hybrid on the meeting we're having about having hybrid meetings. So that's something we could have next Monday, Tuesday night. So that's what I'm suggesting, is we vote. Actually, we don't have to vote to go back to live meetings. We're allowed to go back to live meetings. So I guess we could move to go to, remote meetings, but table the issue. But I'm just worried that if we vote to go to the hybrid and we're not able to accomplish it, like the city clerk said, we're going to be violating the open meeting law. So that's it. Would we tailor the motion that we go back to live meeting and then bring in a motion that we go to hybrid ASAP? Something on that note? Thank you.
Mr. President.
Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President, with the back and forth. So given, I will say this, given the city clerk's concerns as well for working out the process and the timing involved, I think the best way to move on this would be for the city council to continue holding their, as much as I would like to be here for our July meeting, I would suggest that we vote tonight to continue to hold meetings remotely through the summer as required, as meetings are required, and have an objective with the objective of having all processes for hybrid meetings worked out by September so that we can start with our September meetings and go back in person regularly.
Okay. So the motion is the first line, move all meetings to be held.
Continue remote meetings through the month of July and August, and then with the objective of establishing hybrid meetings full-time beginning in September.
Okay, that's the motion. Any further discussion on that? Councilor Riccardi first, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just going to say I agree with that. Do we have to have the April 1st, 2022 in the order, or can we edit that to like September 30th, 30 days, 2021, to make that? Because I do truly feel that, yes, we are seeing that the tail end of this pandemic, but as much as we wish it were over, it is not. We still are at about 60% vaccination rates, I believe. My 9-year-old is not vaccinated, still has to wear a mask anywhere. There are a lot of immunocompromised people that will not feel comfortable coming to in-person meetings. So if we continue to hold in-person meetings only with no option, we are essentially limiting their participation at those meetings. So I think the remote option, as hard as it is, trust me, I've gotten a babysitter just to leave the house during remote participation, so I understand the desire to be back in these chambers, but we're very close to having this over, and hopefully we'll be at the hybrid solution soon. We're just not there yet, and I think, as the city clerk alluded to, the solution to enable the participation from the public in the smoothest manner would be to continue with the remote meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Riccardi. Further discussion, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I want to thank the Ward 5 Councilor for clarifying his motion and simplifying it, because I didn't understand the bigger one as it kept on evolving. So now it's clear cut what we're trying to do here. When I look at the federal government, the state government, the Salem Board of Health, they've all said that no masks are allowed. No masks are required. But yet at City of Salem municipal buildings, I question why masks are allowed when everybody else is saying they're not allowed. I mean, they're not required. We're expecting our children to go back to school, and they need to. They're there. But to continue on when our rules dictate, our city council rules dictate that we're to meet in person, and there's no emergency, the emergency has been lifted, there's no City of Salem Board of Health requirement or state mandate by the governor's office or by the state that dictates that we're still in an emergency, but our rules say that we're to meet in person. So we're in violation of our own rules if we choose to do it otherwise. So I can't support this motion here tonight. I'll be voting no on this. But we also heard from our IT department early tonight and the good Councilor at Large's committee meeting early tonight that they're ready to go. They could do it tonight, but they haven't worked out the kinks, they called it. So SAT, the IT department, and our city solicitor and our city clerk were asked through our committee earlier tonight that they meet to review the rules, make recommendations, and to work out the kinks and get back to us in time for our July meeting. Although we didn't say our July meeting, but to meet right away, I think we said. So I can't see us violating our own rules. The emergency has been lifted, so this is something I can't support. So I'll be voting against this, Mr. President. It's time for us to get back to our business, let the IT department and SATV work out the kinks so that we can have remote participation from the public, as we've been doing. It's been wonderful to have so many people commenting and that have not participated in meetings here at City Hall. That's a good thing. There's a lack of parking out front often, and to be able to do it at home when they might have children in bed or whatever else, and allow them to participate, that's a great thing, and we need to allow that to continue. And we heard testimony tonight that we could have had that happen tonight. Remote participation could have happened tonight, but they haven't worked out the kinks. So let's let them work out the kinks, and then we'll, hopefully in July, at our next meeting, we'll have, be here in person, and we'll have remote participation as well. So I'll be voting no against meeting remotely because it's violation of our rules. We can do both. We can have our cake and eat it too and get the public involved totally in this, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the city clerk. With the good Ward 5 councilor's recommendation about going in September, would that work for you? Because I really do agree with meeting in person, but I have to respect your job in running our meetings for us. Is that compatible to what you would like? Or is that too soon, or is that?
I think I can work with that. I can't guarantee that we would be ready to go, but I know that I would not be comfortable as of July, even if we have a joint public hearing on July 12th, 13th, 14th, and our meeting on July 15th, maybe a special meeting in August. I'm not comfortable with that, plus I won't be here to help out and to be involved in the process. So July it's too quick. I respect everybody's opinion. I respect being in this chamber. I mean, I'm the first one to try to protect this council chambers for past, present, and future councilors and city clerks. But again, I know our rules are to meet in the council chambers on the second and fourth Thursday. That was written, prior to any type of pandemic. We had to change on the fly when this happened. We're going to get back to it. We're not saying we're not going to meet in person. I think we just need a little bit more time. And a little bit of that was the timing on the governor lifting the open meeting law provisions and only giving a short amount of time. And I'm not pointing fingers, but it made it difficult for us to try to scramble and put this together. And although IT or SATV said they were ready to go hybrid, I did not test it. I was not sure. I was not sure if we would be in violation of the open meeting law. Need a city solicitor for that. The worst thing that I want to do is to put anybody in violation. September would be more doable, whether it would, if we could come back and say, yes, we're ready to go on this meeting or this meeting, we could meet again with government services or a different meeting to say, yes, we are ready, or we need a little bit more time. But that would be a better time frame to work with.
Any further discussion? Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also like to echo your words. I think I am in awe of this room. I didn't run for city council so that I could be in my basement in front of a screen. This is absolutely where I want to be right now. But we can do either. We can do either option. The people on this council can meet in person, or we can meet via Zoom. Both options work for us. But we all have friends, we all have neighbors, we all have family members that cannot still be in enclosed spaces like this. And only one of these options disenfranchises Salem residents. So I'm more comfortable with looking at something that says, until we can do a hybrid option right now, at the direction of maybe the council president with the city clerk. If that's July 15th, I'm happy to be here July 15th. If that's September, I'm happy to be here in September. But I think looking at something like that makes the most sense to me.
Thank you, Councilor Hapworth. Any further discussion? On Councilor Torio's motion, that we move to all meetings be held through July and August? excuse me, by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Presnowski?
Yes.
Counselor Morcillo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth? Sorry.
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Counselor Dibble.
No.
Thank you. On the motion that we conduct city council meetings, subcommittee meetings remotely through July and August, let's see, we've got 10 councilors voting, 8 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, the matter carries. Okay. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Order that the Tag Day application for Salem Little League Jimmy Fun Tag Day, July 10th, 2021 be granted.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This isn't going to committee because this has to be done before our next meeting, so we're just going to do a vote on it.
Thank you, thank you. On Councilor Masillo's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Little League thanks you. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. An ordinance amending an ordinance relative to replacing gender-specific nouns and pronouns in the City of Salem's Code of Ordinances. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, an ordinance replacing gender-specific nouns and pronouns in the City of Salem's Code of Ordinances be amended by 1. Traffic Code VA 75 is amended by replacing his designee with the police chief's designee in all one instance. 2, Section 2-1 is amended by replacing her with its, and that's ITS, not apostrophe S. And number 3, Section 28-133 is amended by replacing workmanship with work. And Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter, and I move for adoption for first passage by roll call or no? No.
No, just stand up. Thank you, Councilor Masillo. Councilor Masillo moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So these were caught actually by the Municode people. The first one was it was a cut and paste error in our original order that we adopted, the ordinance change. It left out a few words, so this is just to kind of dot the i's and cross the t's. Section 2-1 talks about the city seal and refers to a dove with she, because women are the peacemakers, let's remember that. And so we're just changing it to its. And then the third one is just workmanship to work.
Thank you, Councilor Masillo. Any further discussion? Being none. On Councilor Masillo's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Let's see who we got. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council ordered the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted the Committee of the Whole, meet to review the state of CARES and ARPA funding, the city's applications for assistance under those acts, and eligible services, stabilization efforts, and infrastructure spending under them, and the following be invited. Mayor, Finance Director, and others relevant to discussion, and I move for adoption.
Councilor Terrio moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a follow-up to the letter that was shared to the council from the mayor earlier. We want to get details on what is coming in for ARPA funding and what are some of the targets that they're working on for it and how to administer it, and just make sure that everybody understands that we're all on the same page as to what the needs are that we're trying to fill with this.
Thank you, Councilor Terrio. Any further discussion? Being none. On Councilor Terrio's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem City Council ordered that the monthly financial reports dated April 2021 and May 2021 be received and filed, and I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Being none. On Councilor Terrio's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pretty happy to do this one. City Council, City of Salem ordered reappointment of City Clerk Eileen Simons for a term to expire June 28th, 2024, and I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Council Torrio moves confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm probably going to make her blush, but 3 years ago when we were going through the whole process of evaluating, because we hadn't had the job turnover in a long time, and we looked at it, I think we went into the process understanding what we had already in Salem, but knowing that, it was just the right thing to do to just make sure of it and see. And I was really happy that we put a committee together and we looked at everybody, we talked to all the people, and we realized that, like we expected, that the best person to be our city clerk was our city clerk. And I think she's done a tremendous job of really updating the way we operate, modernizing how we interface, bringing new services online, adapting constantly to change that's been upon us, pivoting a year ago, 16 months ago to bring the city council online in the first place and work out all the glitches and get us to a point where we can do business pretty efficiently, and then bringing us back in here today and continuing onwards through this. I think the work she's done has been tremendous. I think her staff does an amazing job, and she's run the department better than I ever could have hoped for, and that was with high standards to begin with. And she's just elevated the job and really been a partner to the city council, partner to the committee chairs and the presidents, and and been a real asset to the city. So I'm happy for us to reappoint her for another 3 years, the duration of the term, and she'll be here when I'm gone, but and hopefully she'll be here for a long time to come.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio. Further discussion, Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to highly agree with the Councilor Ward 5. City Clerk, for me, is like one of the former councilors used to say, the impediment. I don't remember the phrase, but I tried to say that her professionalism and her dedication and the way she's handled it and the whole department's handled it, how they approach the city council for the city of Salem has been highly, and I cannot say enough about it. I have positive comments all the time for the work that they put in, not because I'm here personally, but for many years that I know the city clerk in a personal level, and now in the professional level, I had to say that she's been elevating the city clerk department to the higher level. So I want to thank you, and I'm very happy that we reappoint her for the next 3 years. Hopefully she can stay here for life and continue to help the city of Salem to move forward. So I just wanted to bring the small comments. Like I say, I cannot say enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Councilor McCarthy. Oh, sorry.
I'm not sure we want to give her a life sentence yet. 14 years ago, I walked into the clerk's office. Well, actually, 16 years ago, I walked into the clerk's office, and I met the staff that was involved with the clerk's office, and Eileen has been there throughout, with Rochelle, and Maureen came on, and you can't explain it to anybody when you get elected to one of these seats, they don't give you a handbook that says, here's what you got to do to be a ward councilor. Here's what you got to be doing at-large council. There is no roadmap on how to do that. And so we as councilors rely so heavily on the clerk's office because they put together this agenda, they put together all the backup documentation that we need to make this meeting run and to make us look good. And I have had the pleasure of serving with 2 city clerks, and Eileen didn't miss a beat when she took over for Cheryl. And I think, when we went through that process, as Councilor Turiel alluded to, we wanted to vet out and make sure that we had the best candidate available, and we did. And over 14 years of sitting in one of these chairs, I have forged a friendship with our city clerk that as the council president alluded to earlier in his remarks relative to the pandemic last year when I was president, and Councilor Dibble asked, where did you sit last year? I go, I was up there, but no one, I was the only one here in the room by myself. The amount of work and the extension of how we leaned on each other as council president and as city clerk to make sure that this body could do its work and function. It cannot be said enough, the amount of work that Eileen, Maureen, Rochelle, and the rest of the staff in the clerk's office did to make us look good and to make us be able to do our jobs. And that is something I will, later on in life, I'll always remember. And I get a little emotional when I think about things like this, but Councilor O'Keefe always used to send the handwritten notes. Anyone who had the pleasure of serving with Councilor O'Keefe, you always got a handwritten note from Councilor O'Keefe. Well, at the end of last year, I got a handwritten note from our clerk. And it's something I keep to this day, and I will always keep it, because people, I mean, I will say Councilor Turner is 100% correct. The amount of additional work that the clerk's office has taken on, the amount of being out in the public, the amount of opening up early voting, vote by mail, everything that the state, the city threw at the clerk's office, they handled. They handle in public, they handle it with grace. Sometimes in private, I get one of those phone calls. Can you believe? I'm like, we'll take care of it. We'll fix it. But no, that's what happens, and that's what a good clerk does. And Eileen is by far a good clerk, and she's always been there for us. And I'm glad to see that she's, her term's going to have us with the people that sit in this room for the next 3 years, because she and her staff know what they're doing. They are really moving the city clerk's office in Salem progressively forward to take on all those challenges that is being put towards us. And I just want to go on record as saying I will always keep that note. And thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for being willing to continue to do it, because it's a 3-year commitment, and we're none of us are getting any younger, so I realize that. So, but congratulations. I expect a unanimous vote out of this, but seriously, thank you.
Thank you, Council McCarthy. Council Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have been a frequent phone caller with the clerk's office this year, running OLA, trying to figure out how best to run these meetings, not only remotely, but like learning the ropes. I like to prepare, as you can see, come to the meetings with tons of notes, and certainly when I'm chairing OLA, I like to know exactly where every piece of paper is, and these guys can attest to that, the number of phone calls that happen before meetings, just to make sure I have all the paperwork. But I also want to say that, yes, this past year has been crazy, and the elections, and Eileen put together a committee that I was happy to be a part of to help get the elections off the ground and make sure that all the early voting happened and make sure that all the polling places were up and running. And we even threw in a free bus for people. Like, there wasn't enough that she had to do, but we actually had a free bus that was going around getting people to the different polling places. So hats off to you. You guys do a great job in the clerk's office, both of you, and I'm very happy to see this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Masillo. Council Riccardi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also, of course, would be very remiss if I didn't make a few remarks. I would say I might have had a unique experience of meeting the city clerk's office. I will say I wasn't super familiar with what the city clerk's office, and I learned the amount of effort that you guys put into your job, the entire office of which you lead, was just so impressive. And I would go home every night just exhausted and drained, and I know that you would go back to the office and continue to work for hours, and that was just extremely impressive. And then we turned from that to a pandemic. So you have had such a unique experience, and you have been here the entire time while we have been safe at home. So thank you for that, and thank you for leading us forward and being progressive and willing to try new things and being cognizant of all of the laws and rules that we also need to follow, and just helping us. I know I needed a lot of help this past year and a half, and I appreciate the help of you and the office and everyone that has been there. So thank you very much, and I am also happy to see this.
Thank you, Councilor Riccardi. Who's next? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to be very, very brief. I knew Eileen Simons when she was Eileen Telkowski, 1986, 35 years ago. She was very professional. You all need to know she was very professional as a young intern in college. She got the job done, and she hasn't stopped since. And the way she's grown into this position, being trained along the way as an assistant here, as city clerk, gives great testimony how we should train our employees to go up, teachers to become principals, police officers to go up to become chief, firefighters to go up to become the fire chief, young college intern to go through the whole ranks, get trained through the city clerk, and become a fine, outstanding city clerk. I have the highest respect for you.
Councilor Flynn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to speak on a perspective as a lifelong city resident and as a 29-year veteran employee of the city. I've always thought that the city clerk's office is probably the most important office in the city when you think of all the things that you do down there and how it's almost like the blood in a body. You keep the city running. And I want you to know that we all appreciate the hard work that you do. When you were going for the job 3 years ago, I knew there was only one person that could get this job, that should have this job. It was you, because you were trained by the best, Cheryl, and she was trained by the best, Deborah. So I want to thank you for your hard work, and also with your assistant, Maureen and Rochelle. Best office around, and thank you. It's an honor to vote for this tonight. Thank you.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 2018, 2019, I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to run for office, and then was elected, and then had a very short window of time to actually figure out, and I think we're all probably in the same boat at some point, to actually figure out what you're supposed to do, because it's a completely different animal. And Councilor McCarthy said that you don't get a handbook. Eileen actually literally gave us all a handbook that we got here. And it starts with a history of Salem, and then it moves through the council, and I think that, for anyone who's looking to run for city council, the biggest fear you have is I'm going to get up here and I'm going to look like an idiot. And a lot of times I may look like an idiot, but I think Eileen is one of the people that sort of holds that glue together, and she's somebody who, if you're wondering what councilors are doing behind the scenes, we're not collaborating with each other. We're usually calling Eileen and asking Eileen questions about what's on the agenda or what should happen here, how this should work. So it's certainly appreciated as a new councilor, and I would agree with Councilor Dominguez. I think for life is probably an appropriate term for you.
Yeah.
Councilor Plazinski.
So I think I'm the last one to speak in the city council on this,
No.
right? Okay, I won't be long. I just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Eileen, for making it easy for me to transition from one organization that had one set of rules to an organization like this, which has a completely different set of rules, which was very confusing for me because a lot of times there was a lot of conflict involved. We did things one way at the police department, a little different than things are done over here. Sometimes things were frustrating, and I was calling you all the time and saying, why can't we do this? No, you can't do it that way. Well, let's do it this way. No, you can't. But we did this with it? No, you can't do it that way. So talking to Eileen on a weekly basis, she was my therapist. She was my advisor. She talked me off the cliff a few times, and she was extremely helpful, like she was to all of us. COVID hit, and everything turned upside down. And I watched Eileen turn from being the city clerk into some kind of a juggling magician, because she had so much on her plate, not just with the new councilors, because there was quite a few of us that were new and were asking a lot of questions, but with the election and all the responsibilities that came with this. I don't know how you did it masterfully, juggling everything so professionally, so perfectly, and getting everybody in tune as to what was going on. If there's anybody, in this city that deserves a lot more than you make. I'd like to meet that person, but I just want to say, again, thank you very, very much for being there for us when we had any questions at all. Thank you again.
Councilor Torrio.
Councilor Sargent.
I remember starting and not knowing what was going on and asking somebody for information, and they said it's right in front of you. And that was from Debbie Birkinshaw, but that tradition has gone on over and over again. I call the city clerk affectionately our den mother, and she takes care of us in more ways than just city council issues. Sometimes it's good psychological advice, a therapist, those kind of things. And look at the history of Josephine Fusco to Debbie Birkinshaw, to Cheryl LaPointe, to Eileen. And after many, many years working in retirement, I hope your name is going to be added to that list of great city clerks, and I appreciate it. And don't worry, you always look okay. Eileen gives us the information, and we do what we can with it. It doesn't always come out the way she gave it to us, and I like it like you say about my father. My father would say, "You don't listen to me." I said, I always listen to you. I just don't always do what you ask me to do. So we're always listening. Good job. Thank you. Good job, Mario.
Thank you.
Okay. Move for adjournment? Okay. On the matter of the reappointment of the city clerk, Council Torrio moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Riccardi?
Yes.
Councilor Presnewski?
Yes.
Councilor Marcillo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Flynn?
Yes.
Councilor Dominguez?
Yes.
And Councilor Dibble.
Yes.
Thank you. On the matter of the reappointment of City Clerk Eileen Simons for a 3-year term to expire June 28, 2024. 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Do you have this? And Councilor Torrio.
Mr. President, I move for immediate reconsideration in the hope it will not prevail.
Councilor Torrio moves for immediate reconsideration in the hope that will not prevail. All those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed. The ayes, the nays have it, as Councilor O'Keefe would say, unanimous. Good job. All right, moving on. Committee reports. Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, June 24th, 2021. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting of certain licenses, tag days, has considered said matter and would recommend that this be granted. And it's for the Salem High School boys soccer on September 18th and October 2nd.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Being none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Marcillo.
Which one is this one? Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, June 24th, 2021. The Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of pedicab application for sightseeing and consumption of alcohol, has considered said matter and would recommend that this be the granting of the pedicab license with the established route, along with the following conditions.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this was a great conversation, and it was something that the whole committee really wanted to see move forward. And so first I want to start by a little bit of recognition, because this was a really interesting item. So I want to recognize and thank the Ward 1 and Ward 2 councilors for helping to shape an acceptable route for this pedal-powered vehicle, and to Lieutenant Tucker and Beth Renard for their work and guidance for the applicant, Paige Bessie. Paige is a Salem resident who fell in love with the idea of these 12-seat pedal-powered vehicles. They're very popular in other cities around the world, and this particular business will be a fun restaurant-based tour. It won't be a historic tour or a ghost tour. She's mainly focusing on the different restaurants in Salem. It will not be making any stops except for a bathroom break when needed, and riders must be 21 plus because they may bring cans or other non-glass alcoholic drinks with them. The drinks will not be sold on the bike. They need to bring what they're going to drink. Because this is a new type of pedaled vehicle, this is for a trial basis to expire on November 1st. In addition, the police department has been given leeway to change the route temporarily if need be, and to decrease the number of beverages brought on board from 3 to 2 per person, if that's indicated. Ms. Bessie has worked diligently with the city to make this work, and I know that she will remain respectful of the streets that the vehicle is on, and will make regular check-ins with Lieutenant Tucker to continue to tweak the business plan if needed. And each of you got a copy of the map, which is the route that we had approved last night, and hopefully you will also approve. And then in addition, there are many conditions that were written up between the city and the police department that she has agreed to follow. I just want to go through a few of them. She is going to get a public guide license. She will take the test, just in case people ask her questions. While the vehicle is out on its tour, she can answer them with authority. She is going to follow the requirements for the vehicle for hire ordinance that we have. The tours will operate Wednesday through Sunday from 11 to 9 p.m. They will be stopped at 9 p.m. As I said, no one can get off the pedicab once it's in motion. It can only make emergency stops. And then, as I said, they would be allowed to bring 3 alcoholic beverages that are very well defined here. It can't be more than 12% alcohol by weight. No glass bottles. There's a lot of controls there. There is garbage on a garbage trash receptacle on board, so there's no littering. There is an employee that is operating the vehicle as far as making sure it's going in the right direction, and then another person who's called the can opener who will be taking the beverages and passing them out as needed. And then it goes on, a few more things, but as I said, the police department will be able to make temporary changes to the route if it's necessary. If there's streets that should not be accessed for some reason, they can change the route. And then any permanent change would come back to the city council for a vote. And so I hope that as a body we can vote to allow this. If you were downtown today, she actually took possession of the vehicle. It was down on the corner of Essex and Washington Street today. I got a picture from somebody saying, "What is this?" And I could answer it. So, and also, we all get one of the first rides as a city council. So, I'm going to sit next to Councilor Sargent, actually. So,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilor Masil. Any further discussion? Being none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Unanimous. Further committee reports. Councilor Masil.
City of Salem and City Council, June 24th, 2021, the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of Home Rule petition to install video camera speed detection systems in school zones, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. On adoption of the recommendation, this remain in committee. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we had a good start at a discussion yesterday. The home rule petition is specific to Salem to allow the city to install speed cameras in school zones. The language allows a maximum of 2 cameras per school zone, and the cameras need to be signed. In other words, there has to be a sign saying that there is a speed camera there, alerting drivers to video speed enforcement, and must be preceded by a period of education of the public to the installation of the cameras. And also, there is included in the language a very detailed appeal process. There were some modifications made. One was to increase the trigger for a speeding ticket from 5 miles per hour over the speed limit to 10 miles per hour. And we also discussed the possibility of setting up a revolving account for any monies that are collected from the speeding tickets that would then be used to implement traffic and safety enhancements and driver safety education. It's all like school related, since it's from the school zones to keep the school areas safe. The funds should go back to school related safety measures. The city does not want to make a profit from these tickets, but rather to retrain drivers to obey reduced speeds in school zones. So we're going to keep this in committee to learn more about the options for the different cameras, and so that we can make sure that our language doesn't discount possible solutions to this if it gets approved by the state.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. On adoption of the recommendation to keep this in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Hatfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. In City Council, June 24th, 2021, the Committee on Government Services co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom the matter is referred, Section 28C of the Council Rules and Orders, public testimony at regular meetings, has considered said matter to recommend that it stay in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we had a good discussion around, we've gotten a preview of it tonight here, around remote meetings and public participation, what that could look like moving forward. The intention tonight was just to sort of kick off that conversation and just sort of figure out, from a real-world perspective, what would be required to do this moving forward. Because we've got a pandemic happening right now and there's folks who can't be here, and just figuring out what that could look like. But then even moving forward after that, there's a lot of folks with childcare issues, with transportation issues that may not, or with disabilities that may not be able to get into City Hall. So trying to keep that as sort of a silver lining from the pandemic to move forward and have a remote or a hybrid option. We had the city clerk speak a little bit. We had IT, Matt Killen from IT. We had SATV, Patrick Kennedy here, and just talk through some of the, I guess, road bumps that or speed bumps they've run into along the way. There's some issues around supply chain right now, where there's some equipment on order that could be potentially here in a month, but could potentially be here in 3 months or more. He had a conservative estimate of September 15th of when he thought that could be here. SATV thought they could potentially do the meetings, as we sort of discussed earlier, do the meetings very, very soon. So just sort of kicked off that conversation. We kept that in committee. We're going to continue that conversation at our next meeting.
Thank you, Councilor Hatfield. On adoption of the recommendation to keep this in committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Communications from city officials.
We have the city solicitor that submitted the following order relative to approving a conflict of interest law exemption for 2 current employees and 1 commission member.
Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Councilor Masillo moves adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank these people for stepping up, especially the 2 that are neighborhood ambassadors. That is a lot of work. They are actually going door to door, not only to check to see if people need help getting a vaccine, but also to get them connected with other city services like rental assistance, food assistance, and other things that we can find through the senior center. They're doing a lot of work, and I really appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Masillo. Any further discussion? On adoption, on the motion for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcillo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Thank you. On the motion for adoption by roll call vote, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 absent, the matter carries. 0 in the negative, the matter carries. Thank you very much. Further communications from city officials.
We have Jane Guy, the Assistant Community Development Director, submitting a preservation restriction agreement for the Bowditch House, which is being granted as a condition of CPA funding.
Council Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Council Masillo moves adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a normal process that happens in order for these, I guess, different properties to receive the funding from the CPA.
Thank you, Council Masillo. Any further discussion? Being none, on the move for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcillo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Thank you. On the motion for preservation restriction agreement, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Petitions.
We have petition from National Grid to install a conduit on First Street.
Hearing ordered on July 15, 2021.
We have petition from National Grid and Verizon to relocate one jointly owned pole on Forester Street.
Hearing ordered on July 15, 2021.
We have... Further petition, sorry.
Excuse me.
We have a request
Oh,
from
further
registered
petition.
voters for a temporary moratorium that no new building permits be issued for any construction within the buffer zones of a wetland or on a floodplain in any zoning district within the city of Salem for a period of 2 years.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be referred to a joint public hearing with the planning board.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
On councilors' motion to move this to joint public hearing with the planning board, as suggested by Steve Capanis earlier in the day. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from the residents of Connors Road to hold a block party on July 4th, 2021, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. with no rain date.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be granted.
Councilor Hapworth moves this be granted. Under discussion.
I'm just happy to say yes to this. I've actually been to this block party and wish the residents a fun time.
Any further discussion? Being none, on Councilor Hapworth's motion to be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from the residents of Orchard Street to hold a block party on September 18th, 2021, from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. with no rain date.
Councilor Riccardi.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that this be granted.
Councilor Riccardi moves this be granted. Under discussion.
I just want to make sure it's okay for me to vote on this, as I will be partaking in the chicken wings and meatballs that are served, as it is right in front of my house. But yes, I'm also excited to be seeing these move forward this summer.
Thank you, Councilor Riccardi. Any further discussion? On Councilor Riccardi's motion that this be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have held from the last meeting a request from B&S Fitness to hold their annual Devil's Chase 6.66 and Creepy Clown 3.33 road race and use the city streets on October 23rd, 2021.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that it be granted.
Council McCarthy move this be granted. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Briefly, I reached out to the Park and Rec Department, and they met on site with the race organizers to make sure that with the ongoing work that potentially could still be going on, that they could still be able to utilize the field and the parking that's available, and so it wouldn't impact parking in the neighborhood, and they agreed to that. And because it was originally permitted through Park and Rec, I just wanted to make sure that since their situation down at the field changed, that they were in the loop. So with that, I move for approval.
Thank you, Council McCarthy. Any further discussion? Being none, on Council McCarthy's motion that this be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have held from the last meeting a request from the Salem YMCA to hold their annual Which City 5K road race and use the city streets on October 16, 2021.
Counsel McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval.
Counsel McCarthy moves for approval. Under discussion.
Same reasons as the last time this race came in, and we just wanted to make sure that this one particularly starts at the field, so we're actually on Restaurant Row, so we just wanted to make sure that they're aware of the situation down there, and they're willing to comply to this situation, comply to the circumstances of what's going on down there, so.
Thank you, Counsel McCarthy. Any further discussion? Being none. On Counsel McCarthy's motion that this be approved, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from the Salem YMCA to hold their annual Salem Road Race Notch 10K Road Race and use the city streets on September 12, 2021.
Counsel McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that it be granted.
Counsel McCarthy moves this be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion. They actually start at Notch somehow, or over there. I don't know exactly where they start. But anyone who knows the Notch series, they seem to run like at least once a week in some not organized fashion, but they'll just call each other and say, well, let's all go for a run tonight and then go back afterwards and have a beer or something. I'm not sure, because there's always a group of them. I can't tell you what day of the week it is, but it always seems like there's a group running to and from Notch. So I think this is just this way to formalize a actually race where they time each other. I'm not really sure, but they go, it's a broad-based race, so it's 10K, so it does a big loop, so I move for approval.
Thank you, Counsel McCarthy. Any further discussion? Being none, on Counsel McCarthy's motion for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. License application. Following license applications? I'm not sure if I read that or not.
Further petitions, we have the
Further
following.
petitions, sorry.
We have the following license applications: public guides, taxi operators, and vehicle for hire.
Waive the reading. Counsel Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be granted.
Counsel Masillo moves these be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Being none, on Counsel Masillo's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have two drain layer contract operator license applications.
Counsel Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be granted.
Counsel Masillo moves these be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Being none, on Counsel Masillo's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have two claims.
Counsel Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Counsel Masillo moves these be referred to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have two drain layer bonds.
Counsel Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Counsel Masillo moves these be referred to committee. Any further discussion? Being none. Any other discussion? Being none. On the motion to move to committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have a second passage of a bond order for fiscal year 2022 General Fund Capital Improvement Program in the amount of $9,819,000.
Counsel Torriello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Counsel Torriello moves for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
No discussion, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? Being none, vote Counsel Flynn. Being some.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did want to just confirm it's all right again to vote on this one. All right, thank you.
No further discussion. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counsel Torrio?
Yes.
Counsel Sargent?
Yes.
Counsel Riccardi?
Yes.
Counsel Krasnewski?
Yes.
Counsel Marcillo?
Yes.
Counsel McCarthy?
Yes.
Counsel Hapworth?
Yes.
Counsel Flynn?
Yes.
Counsel Dominguez?
Yes.
Counsel Dibble?
No.
Counsel, sorry.
Thank you. On the second passage of a bond order for $9,819,000 for general fund, CIP, FY 2022. 10 councilors voting, 9 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Okay. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of a bond order fiscal year 2022 water and sewer capital improvement program in the amount of $4,429,000.
Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Torrio moves adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Being none. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcello?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor sorry. Excellent
Thank you.
for me.
On the matter of second passage of a bond order for FY 2022 for water and sewer CIP, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance to amend rates for the use of water.
Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Masillo moves for second and final passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Being none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcello?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
No.
And Counselor Dibble.
Yes.
Wait, I have to count.
Thank you. On the matter of second passage of water rates, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have the second passage of an ordinance amending sewer use charges.
Here we go. Councilor Masillo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Masillo moves for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to point out that there is one typo in this. The effective date should say July 1st, 2021, not 2019.
So noted. Madam City, any further discussion? Being none, Councilor Dominguez. Being some, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm consistently voting no on any type of increase, especially after pandemic. My logical, just for the general public for clarification, my logical point is that we just finished having one of the worst pandemic that human being can see in present modern time. And at this point, what we need to have is a break on any type of increase, even a penny. The way I say in the committee, I continue to say even a penny it is inappropriate to have. For some reason, we've been seeing the economic is moving, but we don't see any sympathy for so many people who are not having a job at this moment. So by having a small increase in a moment where everybody is suffering, I don't think that is appropriate. So I'm voting no again, and I will vote no again on this thing right now. I just wanted to make sure that for the record, I've been expressed myself to the general public. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dominguez. Any further discussion? Being none, on Councilor Masillo's motion for adoption for second and final passage for an ordinance amending sewer use charges, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Prosnewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcello?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
No.
And Counselor Dibble.
No.
Thank you. On the matter of second and final passage of an ordinance amending sewer use charges, 10 councilors voting, 8 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance amending traffic handicap parking on Mall Street.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Hapworth moves to second and final passage for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Being none. Any further discussion? Being none. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Torrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Riccardi?
Yes.
Counselor Kwasniewski?
Yes.
Counselor Marcillo?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth?
Yes.
Counselor Flynn?
Yes.
Counselor Dominguez?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Thank you. On the matter of second and final passage of an ordinance amending traffic, handicap park on Mall Street, 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, 1 absent. Matter carries. I'll entertain any, Councilor Kusnowski first for a personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. President. Requesting a moment of personal privilege. Mr. President, 1 year ago, on June 25th, during a council meeting, which we all remember ran very late, Officer Dana Mazzola of the Salem Police Department was tragically killed in a motor vehicle on Jefferson Avenue. Dana had signed his retirement papers earlier that day. He was planning to retire after 31 years of dedicated and truly exceptional public service. His loss is still difficult to digest by many of us. Mr. President, I'm requesting a moment of silence in remembrance of Officer Dana Mazzola in honor of his unwavering loyalty to his family and the Salem community.
So be. Everybody stand, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. For Officer Mazzola. Good job. Any more personal privilege? Councilor Dominguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also wanted to have a point of personal privilege on just to remembering one of our members of our community, Doreen Thomas, who just passed away. Doreen Thomas was a member of living in the Salem Point neighborhood for so many years. She's been involved in so many organizations servicing the great people of Salem, and she just recently passed away. I also asked for a moment of silence on her behalf. My sympathy and my condolence to the family of Mrs. Thomas, who contributed a lot to our community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more personal privilege? I might just take one myself quickly. Are you all set? I'll go last. No? Are you? All right. Just quickly a remembrance for Sheila Cranny, sister of our Representative Paul Tucker. On the same note, a remembrance for in this last year of everybody we lost to this pandemic, and those who were sick and suffered, whether it be our city or anywhere around the country or around the world for that matter. May we take a moment and stand for all of them. And thank you. Thank you. Councilor Torrio.
Mr. President, move we adjourn.
Councilor Torrio moves for adjournment. All those in favor? All those opposed? Non-debatable. Thank you. Good job, everybody. Welcome back.